Hi, my name is Taha and my group member Hamza will be discussing about how Renters Voice Australia fights for systematic change to solve the housing crisis, focusing on dignity, affordable rents and safe living conditions for all. Renters Voice Australia supports affordable housing solutions in the country. The Australia rental crisis issue has risen to be more of a matter of concern to a national emergency impacting millions of people. A study examined 47 posts in social media to interrupt human experiences in housing statistics. The crisis cuts across demographics and geography as students struggle to attend classes due to queues of up to 100 people in their apartments, and families move to caravan parks because of pure affordability of housing. Research findings of scale of sufferings. Our analysis resulted in the identification of three key themes of crisis. The affordability of housing and competition constitutes of 44.7% of the problems with brutal bidding wars and hugely long inspections lines. The conditions of property are cause of 29.8% such as mold, structural damage. Rental market dysfunction consists of 17% having discriminatory practices and raises. These themes collectively constitute of 91.5% of all rental discourse, which is systematic failure. The next one is geographical reality. Both the capital cities and the regional areas are impacted equally and negatively by the crisis. Capital cities present 53.2% post whose attention is paid to the problem of intense competition and affordability. Regional areas have 36.2% of the evenly distributed issues on the affordability of property conditions. Importantly, the problem of property conditions applies in both urban and suburban regions, which means regulatory failures all over the country and the need to reinstate the policy on a broad scale. The picture of 100 people waiting to be housed in one of the apartments in Sydney over hub represents lost human dignity in search of a house. This is a visual symbol of dehumanization's competition where bare shelter is a luxury, not a privilege. Such lines show the desperate competition of Australians to get basic housing, which is beyond mere market forces of demand and supply. Failing landscape. There were four predominant emotional states based on the experience of tenants. The use of the word brutal and force is the most common and suggests desperation of the first degree. The harasser and the patronize are part of frustration, which implies powerlessness in the system. Resignation is a demonstration of fatalistic acceptance of pure conditions, dangerously reduced expectations. The crisis level emotive language shows that the rental stressfulness has turned up into the realm of psychological trauma rather than the sphere of economic inconvenience.
Hello, my name is Hamza, and I'll be discussing soul prints, soul voices, and soul sufferings. One can find anonymized stories of system breakdown in Australia. A case in point is that the Brisbane 15 international students are paying $200 each in crowded, unsafe conditions. Queensland tenants mask their desperation by using bitter sarcasm on the issue of mold, increase in retaliatory amounts on rents of the areas affected by infestation in Caboolture residents. These stories illustrate how Australians make unrealistic decisions about standard of shelter, affordability, whistleblowing, and staying in dysfunction system. Marketing inspirations. The crisis is not limited to vulnerable to the middle population, where professional families and students are not spared. Messaging based on dignity, fairness, and basic rights are more appealing than charity approaches. The voices of real tenants are more effective advocacy than general policy argument. Organizations should also reposition themselves as facilitating systemic change as opposed to individual help and responding to wholesome impacts of dysfunction in the rental system of the whole society. System failure analysis. The existing policy reactions are not sufficient because the excessive power asymmetry, without jeopardizing their own lives by becoming homeless, tenants will be unable to demand basic safety, which in return will lead to cycles of landlord negligence remaining unpunished, lapse of enforcement accusations, hazardous situations due to absence of alternatives. Market dysfunction has 17% of complaints showing systematic policy level failures that cannot be addressed through individual solutions, but a complete overhaul of the regulatory policies. Our recommendations. True evidence-based advocacy pillars deal with identified problems. National Rental Standards Campaign focuses on 29.8% of complaints on the condition of properties by enforcing this through the mandatory means. The Competition and Affordability Reform addresses 44.7% of complaints in bidding wars through market regulation. Market dysfunction solutions eradicate any form of discrimination by enhancing laws to protect tenants. Detailed media packages should put rental crisis as systematic policy problem across. Call to action. Focus on short term. Support Renters Voice Australia to give tenants voices a voice. And invest in evidence based advocacy, systematic policy change, pressure on political leaders to enact laws on countrywide rental standards and market control, as well as tenant protection. Spread stories to sensitize the effects on social stability and national well being. Turn off personal plight into collective action on how to bring a real change to make housing a human issue.